What's poppin'? What's good? It's your girl, the Cosmic Phoenix. If you're new here, welcome, hey, besties. So, okay, yeah, I wanted to just come on here really quick. This is not going to be a new live, okay? If you're new here, hi, I'm Carla. And all right, y'all, so today is the solar eclipse. So happy solar eclipse. We are tapping into the energies. Y'all already know we don't waste energy around here. So tap into the energy. Focus on you. Don't pay attention to any motherfucking distractions, okay? It's also activation, DNA activations going on. So take care of you. Focus on you and follow your promptings and your nudges that you're getting, okay? Those nudges that you're getting, follow those nudges. So I'm going to try to make this, not really quick, not rush it, but I don't want it to be really long, okay? So, where do I start? All right, so a couple of days ago, I'm being guided to just share my experiences. So a couple of days ago, I did it was like a mini vlog that I did where I was like, I'm being guided. For a while now, I've just been being pulled to check out like Necronomicon by H.P Lovecraft, right? So H.P Lovecraft is a horror story writer who used to write, he wrote some, he was writing like little stories for his family and friends, and he became really famous after death, okay? So with H.P Lovecraft, all of the other horror writers like Stephen King, all of them, they get all of their things from H.P Lovecraft, okay? So one thing about me, I used to love to watch horror movies, y'all. Like, love to watch horror movies. To the point where if my family and friends was watching a movie, like I was saying previously in the other video, I would be like, is it a horror movie? And they'd be like, no. And I'd be like, okay, no, I don't want to watch it, right? Like that. It was only until recently, probably like the past 2 to 3 years, I stopped watching horror. You know, I'm on my spiritual journey, tapped in. So I'm like, I don't want to watch it. It's scary. I don't want to be in a low vibrational mood. But I'm learning that there's a reason why I was being pulled to watch horror movies and stuff like that. Okay. So here comes the horror pull again piece, right? So I'm like, okay, let me get some H.P Lovecraft books to see. And if you guys know Brother Panic talks about like the Necronomicon and H.P Lovecraft and stuff like that. So I've been watching some of Brother Panic's lectures recently, and he was talking about Necronomicon and H.P Lovecraft in the lecture, and he was basically like sharing that the Necronomicon is a fictional book that H.P Lovecraft wrote and or came up with, right? And in this fictional book, it translates to the Book of the Dead, right? Or the Book of Dead Names and stuff like that. Okay? So a couple of days ago when I posted the mini vlog, I was saying, I think the title or the cover says Necronomicon Book Search, right? Little old me, I'm just new learning about Necronomicon and H.P Lovecraft, right? So it's not an actual physical book. The Necronomicon is not an actual physical book. However, it is a book that you can access in the astrals, okay? I'm not going to get deep into it, but you can access it in the astrals, right? So with that being said, I was wanting to find books by H.P Lovecraft where he was talking about like his stories, the monsters and stuff like that. So he created these monstrous gods, right? They're so scary. Even when you look up the pictures, they look so terrifying, right? So Brother Panic was explaining that the Necronomicon is like some of the scariest things that you like. Okay, he said nigga. If y'all knew here, I use colorful words. He said it's like the scariest thing a nigga could get into, right? However, on the other aspect of it, the Necronomicon is depicting monsters. It is also a reflection of the deepest part of our subconscious mind, okay? Which is our light, right? So it's depicting the deepest parts of our light, all right? And so I'm trying to be clear in what I'm saying because I want people to understand, okay? So yeah, he was saying that don't be like, essentially it's like, don't be afraid of it because it's the deepest part of your subconscious mind. It's the monsters that are within that you have to face, right? Face these monsters, heal them, heal your traumas, and awaken your soul, right? So H.P. Lovecraft has a character, a monstrous god named Cthulhu, right? So Brother Panic was saying that Cthulhu is Osiris, which is the god of the underworld, right? And Cthulhu in H.P. Lovecraft's story lives in some place called Relias, which is a magical land. And it was sunken to rise again. And so that is your soul, okay? He was saying that is your soul. It's talking about your soul being sunken, being asleep, right? The sleeping gods, those that sleep, the sleeping giants. And there is a time where your soul is to rise again, okay? So I was like, okay, that's when I was telling y'all, like in that mini vlog, if you scroll down, you'll see it. I was like, I want to go to the library. And I went to the library. When I went to one library, they didn't have it, but she told me to go to another library. And one thing about me, I follow my promptings. Like my soul has been training me to listen when I'm being guided to do something, okay? So I'm like, all right, how far is it? And in the vlog, you'll see it. If you didn't, the full vlog is on my YouTube. So you could click the link in my bio, scroll all the way down to my YouTube link. You're going to see it. You can watch the vlog. You see everything in real time, right? So then she was like, okay, it's like 20 minutes. So I said, okay, boom. She called them and she was like, do you guys have any H.P. Lovecraft books? And they said, yeah, we got 4. All right. I study numerology. 4 is the number of work. So I knew that this is it's a part of my work. I have to go there to get these books. Right. Okay. So I get in the car, drive there, get to the library, ask the librarian for the books. And they're like, oh, go look, essentially saying, go look under the author's name in the aisles and see if you see the book. So I'm used to like exceptional customer service at my local library, and the librarian usually comes and like walks with you to look for the book. So anyway, I was cussing the librarian, like, why he wouldn't come look for the book with me? Like, you get what I'm saying? So as I was walking through the aisle, I seen a book that said, it said Colin, which is my father's name. My father's name is Colin, and in Patois, my name is pronounced Kala. My name is Carla, Carla, but in Patois, they pronounce it Kala, Kala. So when I seen that, I said, oh shit, Kala. And then I seen my father's name, and I was like, hold on, okay, so this is, okay, so I was like, this is not a coincidence, right? So then, after that, I went upstairs in the library to see if I can find the book. The librarian was like, if you put the book on hold, she was like, if the book is on hold, she's like, yeah, the book is on hold. And I was like, it's on hold by me. So she was like, okay, go downstairs. You're gonna see a little section with the books that are on hold. They should be there. So I went there, found all of the books. It was 5 books. In numerology, 5 is the number of change, right? So I'm like, okay, so I get the books, start talking to the librarian, and he's into H.P. Lovecraft too, so we're talking. And then I'm like, what's your name? And he says, Colin. I was like, I'm done. Which again is my father's name. And behind them in the video, you see they have this thing that says, the snake year, which is in Chinese astrology. Or like not Chinese astrology, just Chinese New Year is the year of the snake. And the snake represents feminine energy. Also, the snake is also representative of psychic ability, being clairvoyant, right? So all of those signs was going on. So then I realized, like, okay, because we have a spirit team, we have our ancestors. So I'm being guided to read these books and to read more, all right? Which I'm going to be doing. So if y'all need to work with me, if you want to join my community, click the link in my bio and join, book a session, because baby, I have to start reading these motherfucking books. I have books that are $500 that I paid for like 2 years ago that I didn't read. So I'm going to get it together, okay? I'm telling y'all to wake up, so I have to wake up and start reading my books. Okay, so I'm like, okay, I got it. I said, okay, I got it. I'm going to read more. I'm going to read my books. So I started reading one of the H.P. Lovecraft books yesterday, right? So I'm reading a book, and then as I'm reading, okay, like how I process information, I have a Virgo moon. So I'm very analytical when it comes to emotions and things like that. Processing things, I go internal and I really analyze shit, okay? So as I'm reading books, it may take me longer than the average person to read the book, because I read like each sentence and then I have to process it, or I receive like a download and I make a connection, and so it takes me time, right? So I'm reading a book and it's talking about Lovecraft and how he was born in Jersey and he started having these dreams and talking about like his family and stuff like that. And he started having these dreams with these monsters, and he was creating basically like his own universe. And in the universe, there were different gods. So you had outer gods, inner gods. He called them the old ones, the great ones, right? So different gods. And these were monsters. They look monstrous when you look up the pictures. So some of them is Cthulhu, Nyarlathotep, this one I can't be pronounced, the name, Azathoth, and a whole bunch of other ones, right? And so he was saying that a lot of people, when they found out the origins of humanity, it drove them mad. When he found out the origins of humanity, it drove them mad. Peace, beautiful. Happy March 29th. He said when people would find out the origins of humanity, it drove them insane. Right? And he was saying that these creatures come from the deepest, darkest parts of the earth, and even some of them come from parts that are outside of this world, this construct, right? Carrying information. And so I was reading it and I'm like, ooh, okay. So then I go on Google to look up the different monsters. And so I'm looking up the monsters and I'm reading the names, and one of them stood out to me. And the name was Shub, S-H-U-B, Niggurath, Niggurath, Shub-Niggurath, right? So as I'm scrolling, and this was last night, probably like around 2:00, right? So as I'm scrolling through the list, I see that one. It stood out to me because I'm like, hold on, this looked like you know what word, Niggurath. I said, H.P. Lovecraft, you're not low. I was like, H.P. Lovecraft is not low. I'm like, H.P. Lovecraft, I know what you were trying to say. So I'm here reading it and just laughing. I mean, I was cracking up last night. And I'm like, this looked like Niggurath, okay? It's like it's pronounced like that. So I said, okay, Lovecraft, what we doing here? Okay, what we doing here? And I'm like, okay. So then I start reading about this specific monster, this deity that he created, right? And it's a feminine energy, okay? It's a feminine energy. And so she's a goddess, and the feminine energy, she has other names. Her other name is the Black Goat of the Woods, also known as, and she has like 1,000 offsprings, right? And so her name is Shub-Niggurath, and she's also known as the Black Goat of the Woods, right? It's a feminine energy. And so I'm looking at the picture. It looks terrifying as shit, right? So I'm reading more about her and I'm like, hold on. As I'm reading, I'm like, wait. I said, okay, I said, this is Kali. I said, this is like a depiction of Kali, or, you know, like a representation of Kali. So I'm like, okay, so these are, how can I say? These are black gods, okay? So I'm like, okay, so I'm just making the connections as I'm reading, because I know nothing is a coincidence. So I'm like, okay, so Shub-Niggurath is a feminine energy. This is a goddess. And oh my gosh, I wish I could get the, you know what? Hold on, let me get my iPad. So that way it could kind of make more sense, because right now the Kali energy, the Kali Naga energy, which if you don't know, aren't familiar with, it's over about, I think it was like 400 years ago, there were a group of women that were strategically placed around the world, and a lot of them were in the Caribbean, on the outer skirts of the Caribbean, protecting the shores and stuff like that from intruders, colonizers coming in, right? And these protectors were women. They were women. They were warriors. And not only were they physically strong and able to fight, but they knew how to fight spiritually as well. So they were in islands such as like St. Kitts. They were in Jamaica, and some other places. Shout out to Professor Melanie, because she was giving the lecture on it, right? And so these were powerful women. Not even the men could understand when they spoke, because they spoke like, it was like a magical tongue, right? And so what happened was, there was like a meeting. They were saying that they wanted to get rid of the colonizers. It was too much of them. So all of the Kali Nagas, the strong women who were warriors, not only physical warriors, but spiritual warriors, came together, and like, it was like they ate some food and they were poisoned by men, okay? They were poisoned by men. But not all of them went to the dinner or the meeting. Not all of them went to the dinner. So some of the bloodlines of the Kali Naga still exist today, okay? Today. Strong, powerful women, warriors, not only physical, but spiritual gangsters, okay? And so they exist today. And so now this energy has awakened. It has returned, okay? And so this is so significant, because my matriarchal bloodline comes from St. Thomas, Jamaica, which is where they had some of the most vicious, gangsta motherfucking unruly rebel slaves, okay, that was tapping into their magic. Okay, they were using their magic to defend themselves, all right? And so I come from a bloodline of strong, powerful women, right? And so the Kali Naga, it resonates with me, because I know my energy, right? And I'm learning more about it, and it's awakening even more, right? So when I was reading about Shub-Niggurath, I was like, this is Kali. So I'm like, a lot of the gods, what I was receiving was like, a lot of the gods that he created were black gods, right? Because the first being on the planet was a black woman, okay? And so I'm like, okay, so a lot of the black gods, a lot of the monsters that H.P. Lovecraft was creating, he was receiving from dreams. He was saying that he was receiving these from dreams. He was receiving these from also channels too, and creating them, right? And so a lot of them are black gods. Like, I don't care what nobody say. That's what I receive, right? And so Shub-Niggurath is motherfucking Kali. Okay, hold on. Let me type out her name. Because it's not a coincidence that the Kali energy is awakening now. I'm being guided to read the Necronomicon. I start checking it out, looking at the monsters, and one of the names that catches my eyes is Shub-Niggurath. Happens to be a female black goddess. Okay? And so let's read the Wikipedia. I don't know if I can see the... Hold on. If I can see the picture, okay. So this is the picture of... What is this here? Hold on. This is the picture of Shub-Niggurath. Let me make sure I can... Okay. This is the picture of Shub-Niggurath. Shub-Niggurath. So this is her, and then she has like 1,000 babies. So these are the babies, the offspring. Okay, this is the energy. Shub-Niggurath. Her name is also the black goat of the woods. The black goat of the woods. Right? Y'all see how scary it look? So I'm like, ooh, oh my goodness. Like, oh my God. Okay. All right. And I remember, like, I know from studying and reading and like listening to Brother Panic lectures and other master teachers, they always say like the stuff that is powerful, or the stuff that talks about your magic and your power, they'll put like a lot of warnings on it to make you afraid of going deeper into it, right? So let's read it. So Shub-Niggurath is a deity created by H.P. Lovecraft. She is often associated with the phrase, the black goat of the woods, with 1,000 young, okay? Which reminds me of the herb, a thousand mothers? 1,000 mothers? Yeah, if y'all don't, I know there's a herb. I think it's 1,000 mothers, which reminds me of that herb. But the only other name by which Lovecraft referred to her was Lord of the Wood in his story The Whisperer in Darkness. If there's any other people who love Necronomicon or love H.P. Lovecraft, please drop it below, because I be feeling like I'm the only person, and I know I'm not. But okay, so Shub-Niggurath is first mentioned in Lovecraft's revision story, The Last Test. Okay, she is not described by Lovecraft, but is frequently mentioned or called upon in incantations. So there are people that actually, like, you could actually call upon these gods, okay? And Brother Panic had gave like a Necronomicon ritual, and I definitely did it, and it definitely motherfucking works. And I was speaking to Nyarla Hotep, and I got to speak to Shub-Niggurath, and I got some more information. Okay, so Shub-Niggurath is first mentioned in Lovecraft's revision story. She is not described by Lovecraft, but is frequently mentioned or called upon in incantations. Most of her development as a literary figure was carried out by other mythos authors. Okay, hold on. Let me read the part where it's talking about what she is. Okay. She's also he also calls her the All Mother. She is one of the deities siding with humanity against hostile gods. That's Kali, okay? When she's done with the ignorance, when she's done with the foolishness, done with the fuckery, okay? Kali is love, but she's also destruction, right? To bring forth change and transformation. So, I'm trying to refine. Okay, so in turn, she's classified as a great old one. Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to look for a quick summary of a quick summary. It literally just started raining outside. Okay, so okay. Lovecraft explicitly defines Shub-Niggurath as a mother goddess in the mound, where he calls her Shub-Niggurath, the All-Mother. Wow. The black goat of the woods with 1,000 young is an outer god in the Cthulhu mythos of H.P. Lovecraft. The being is first mentioned in Lovecraft's revision story, The Last Test, in 1928. 1928, y'all hear that time, child? In Lovecraft's fiction, she is never actually described, but is frequently mentioned or called upon in incantations. Shub-Niggurath is also referenced in the works of other mythos authors because he created the characters and then he died, and then so he had like a circle of other authors who started to build upon the characters who had like his other transcripts and stories. So Shub-Niggurath is an outer god or outer goddess in the pantheon. She is a perverse fertility deity said to appear as a hellish cloud-like entity. She has been described as an enormous mass which extrudes black tentacles. And that's so funny talking about tentacles because the other day I was at the beach and saw jellyfish, 2 jellyfish, the man of war jellyfish, Portuguese man of war jellyfish, and they have tentacles too. Slime dripping mouths and short writhing goat legs. Small creatures are continually spat forth by the monstrosity, which are either consumed into the miasmatic form or escape to some monstrous life elsewhere. Wow. Wow. So it goes into a whole bunch of other stuff, but y'all understand what I'm saying? And the one thing about it is there's no such thing as coincidence that this is coming up right now. So a lot of the Kalis are awakening, the Kali Nagas are awakening, and this energy like is super powerful. A lot of us are getting the call, so don't be afraid. I just wanted to share that because I'm like, nothing is a coincidence. Nothing is a coincidence. And then when I went to bed last night, I was seeing these monsters as well, and it was wild. It was kind of, I know Professor Melanie shared her travel that she had as well, and it's so like nothing is a coincidence. There's no motherfucking coincidences. So I say that to say that a lot of times I'm trying to choose my words. I want it to make sense. So it's like a lot of times like people will say like be afraid of monsters. However, these monsters are the deepest parts of our subconscious mind that we have to face. We have to, address it. We have to heal it and, elevate, essentially heal and ascend, right? And so I was just like, yo, this is not a coincidence. This is not a coincidence that all of this is happening at this time. And it's a solar eclipse today. It's a lot of DNA activations going on. So I just wanted to share that, like, if you guys like Necronomicon too, if you're getting into Necronomicon, let me know. Okay, let me know. Drop a comment, send me a little DM, let me know. And I want to remind you guys to stay focused on yourself, to follow those promptings, to take your work seriously, right? Don't doubt yourself. Don't hesitate. Because I wanted to share this last night, like around 2 a.m. And I was like, I just laughed about it to myself that, the name was Shub-Niggurath and it was actually a black goddess. But I was like, okay, after I heard Professor Melanie go live, I'm like, okay, this is not a coincidence. So I was like, let me share what I was going to share last night. But yeah, I just thought that was really, really interesting. And I was receiving that you can actually like tap into some of these monstrous gods like the Necronomicon, and they can help you deal with like your shadow work, dealing with deep shadow work and things like that. So I hope this was helpful. I was like, should I share this? But I'm glad I've listened to my prompting, and I hope you guys could receive the message. No, if it resonates, it resonates. But I will talk to you guys later. If you need me, click the link in my bio, book a consultation, pull up in the community, because your girl is gonna be reading. Okay, I'm gonna be reading. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm going to be reading my books because it's time. Y'all have a beautiful day. Spend time with yourself, pour into yourself, and enjoy your activations. Peace.